actually retains water. You see the salt pan in rainy season, pitch ho jata hai, because it absorbs the humidity. And since it can retain water at a physical level, it can also retain emotions at a mental level. Because the quality of natrum is retention. And since they can retain it, they cannot overcome that thing. And that inability to overcome makes them to brood over it again and again, again and again. And thus land up into a depressive state because I am not able to overcome things that have happened years back. But the quality of natrum which I have seen in practice is they can stand up on their own. Much more powerful. And if they have come in that state, surely we will forget natrum understanding. क्योंकि वो धोखा के बाद वापस उठकर खड़ा हुआ है. And that part of that धोखा they will tell you, gone is gone, doctor. It's a new chapter because it had a stage of dissolving. Now that has evaporated out, and now it is a stage of consolidating, coming back to my original self. And therefore the muriaticum part will say, now don't make a mistake. You have already been ditched, now don't make a mistake. And this conflict between the sodium and the muriaticum part is something that natrum muriaticum cannot console, cannot come to terms. Natrum ka retention and chlorine ka understanding that what has happened, don't face it again. So should I not? Should I not? Ye conflict mein, if a third person comes and just gives them some sort of consolation, they get aggravated because they are half should I, half should I not. This is how the whole understanding of natrum muriaticum functions. It's a beautiful thing. Why this natrum muriaticum has this problem? Because it's one of the salt which dissolves in water. When water evaporates, again salt remains. I don't know whether in other places it is there, but in Bombay definitely it is there. When the maid washes the utensils and goes, when it gets dried up, we see white powdery thing. And we blame the maid, dhoya nahi hai sahi tak se. What is that? That is nothing else but chlorine part. Because the corporation adds chlorine to disinfect it and bleach it. And what remains of the powdery thing when you wash the utensil and dries is the chlorine part. And therefore for fish tank we never use fresh water. पूरा टंकी खाली हो जाएगा, सब उल्टे हो जाएंगे अगले दिन. Because chlorine is a killer. So for a fish tank, you'll always see a person will tell, juna pani, ek din, do din, pehle wala pani vapro. Many of them might come in your practice also premature graying of hair. School students. And especially with the males if you go to see, because they have head bath daily. Chlorine is a bleaching agent. And therefore chlorine can bleach relationships. वो रंग बदल देगी पूरा. In the sense, do not fall into this relation. And if it is combined with natrum, the natrum will say, how can you survive without falling in relationship? ये कश्मकश है हम लोग में. This is will contradiction that you can see in natrum muriaticum. Are you getting? This is the beauty of how the retention part of sodium, the bleaching agent of the chlorine, combining together and giving you this beautiful idea about consolation aggravates, brooding tendency, why that brooding comes because of retention, why that feeling of being depressed that I cannot fall into because of the chlorine. Chlorine will time and after tell that person, do not fall. ये धोखा देगा ही, एक बार खा लिए बस हो गया, मत गिरना वापिस। एंड साथ में दैट नाट्रम इज स्टक टू दैट क्लोरीन, एंड देन दिमाग पर चलता है, इसके बिना कैसे चलेगा, हाउ विल यू सर्वाइव विदाउट दिस रिलेशनशिप, यू नीड अ रिलेशनशिप। So at time they will feel I need a relationship, at time I feel I'm okay being alone, I'm okay, I'm happy staying alone. This is the jugalbandi that happens. And this, according to the super class, the third one is the idea about how they feel limited and restricted, which they themselves have created. क्या मैं इसमें से बाहर गिरूं, क्या इसमें रहूं, क्या बाहर गिरूं, क्या इसमें रहूं? This is the idea of how the third superclass understanding comes into picture. The idea of creating self-limitation. And then you are creating your own limitation, and then you feel bound in that thing. And say, I am okay being in this limitation. Because everything is provided. ये नाता ठीक है, because everything you are getting. Food, clothing, care, love, affection, सब कुछ. And therefore you feel okay being in that restriction. Are you getting? This is the beauty how now superclass understanding, the idea of natrum understanding, the idea of chlorine understanding, why they brood, why they feel betrayed, all this is now summarized as complete understanding of how NATRUM MUR looks at it. Clear? Because previously, brooding tendency hai, crying hai, depressive hai. But why brooding? Why crying? What is the need for them to feel betrayed? Why there is conflict? Why there is aggravation by consolation? All this has to be understood from the element point of view of two different elements, one from the first column of the third row and one from the 17th column of the third row. Mudda ek hi hai, because row ek hi hai. But they are poles apart. First column, 17th column.